Welcome back to Blockchain Pill. My name is Alex, and today we're back with a podcast. And I have here with me one of the OG ICP teams, the team that is building Yral, a Web3 alternative to TikTok. It's a pleasure to have you guys back here. Rishi, Shoy, how have you guys been?
It's been a pretty long journey, and I think we met sometime last year, around 7, 8 months back. So a lot of things have progressed since then. We have built quite a few things. So right now, also the focus has been on the backend side of things, wherein you as a user might not see a lot of things happening on the apps, but now there are different apps, and I think 90% of the effort that we have put in over the last few months have been on the backend side of things.
Before we dive into that, I want to hear from Shoy as well. How have you been?
Hey Alex, I'm doing pretty well. So mostly we have been making significant progress on a bunch of backend things on Viral. So we were working on a lot of infrastructure pieces and most of our time had gone there. But as we get into this, we can definitely talk more about the app. Personally, we've been doing pretty well. We've been contending with a couple of things that have been going on in the ecosystem, dealing with the DAO stuff while still making progress. But yeah, overall doing pretty well.
You have a very cool background, by the way, and a very professional setup, Shoy.
Yep, thank you. So this is testament to some of the early stuff that we did. So these cute and cuddly things that you see hanging around on me, some over my shoulder. So these guys are called Gob Gobs. They're still available to purchase from the Yuku marketplace, but mostly we've been giving these away as part of promotions. So these are our original OG Gob Gobs, and these are things that have built on top of. So essentially you see these guys in the apps also. So inside the app, if you log in as a profile picture, this is the default thing that you see. But yes, this is something that we cooked up inside.
So I remember last time when we talked, people were upset with you guys because you, at the time, you didn't add liquidity to decentralized exchanges for the Yral token. Has that problem been fixed?
We have added quite a decent amount of liquidity to both. So previously we started with 3 DEXes. We started with Sonic. We had ICP swap, and we also provided liquidity to Helix, which the same team is currently doing Kong swap. So that liquidity has now been migrated to Kong swap. So right now, if you look at liquidity, we are present on the two main ones, which is ICP swap and Kong. Sonic, they migrated from V1 to V3 at some time in the past, and there was some issues with migrating that fund pool. So essentially, we took that liquidity out, but we put that back into between these two places.
Last time people were upset for the liquidity issues, and I've noticed recently there has also been people have been upset with you guys. And after we talk about Yral and what you guys have been doing, at the very end of the podcast, I want to give you guys the chance to respond and say, in your own words, what's been up to. But before we do that, let's see what you guys have been building and what's been going on at Yral. So what's the updates that you have for us since we last spoke?
So there has been quite a few updates since the last time we spoke, and of course, Web3 space and technology space is you have to make progress much faster because the technology is growing at a much faster pace. So like you always need to play the catch-up game. So of course we worked on a bit around the AI aspect on our feed. So when we met last, there were a lot of videos which was a common feed of videos across multiple people who were viewing the Yral app. But now we have in-house inbuilt piece, AI piece, wherein while you're watching videos, everyone has their own feed. So if Alex has its own profile on Yral and Saikat has its own profile on Yral, and similarly for Rishi and hundreds of more people, if they are logged in and if they're interacting with these videos separately. So for example, you like cat videos, I like some beach videos and so on and so forth. I'll see more of beach videos, you will see more of cat videos, Shaikat will see more of car videos and so on and so forth. But for that to happen, you need to log in onto the app and have some kind of engagement with those videos. So essentially you need to have a bit of history around how you're watching videos and so on and so forth. So that was one particular big aspect that we were working on with respect to Yral. Another thing is, there were quite a few things going on around the same time. We have been thinking as a company, we have also been thinking of how do we generate revenue sometime in the future. And looking at the entire Web3 space and, the overall, even the Web2 space, advertisements has been the primary source of revenue for all social companies. So one thing that we were tinkering more around was that, say we can spend the next 1 to 2 years building a social platform in the Web3 space, which is decentralized, something on the lines of TikTok, which is owned by, say, hundreds of thousands of people who are actual community members. But how will an app like Viral generate revenue? And so that was one big open question for us, because we knew without revenue, not today, maybe sometime in the future, the app might die. And who will then, go ahead and fund the entire DAO? So for revenue generation, we knew, and since privacy is a very big aspect of the Web3 space, you cannot just go ahead and sell, say, Alex data, because first of all, Viral does not know who Alex is or who Rishi is or who Saikat is. You can come on with your own, say, profile, and then subsequently fill up any kind of data. And then at the end, we do not ask any kind of questions, which country you come from, how old are you, and so on. So no one, captures any data on the Viral app. So how will you go ahead and sell it to advertisers? That was one big question. The other thing is, uh, since right now the Web3 space is also pretty small, they are not like, say, millions or billions of users as you would find in the Web2 space on apps like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. The advertisers, it's a very high chance that advertisers might not also come onto the platform because they do not find a big enough audience. So these were two different, questions that we needed answers to. And then, we were attending ICP Labs sometime last year in Zurich, and almost 10 different projects had come in. We were talking to all these 10 different projects, and of course, user acquisition is a problem, not just for us, but for any Web3 project in general, but also for, all the apps building in the IC ecosystem. So, all the founders were ideating around, is there a way wherein you can, share a particular user across different apps? So let's take an example. Rishi comes on Viral. He can immediately go on to OpenChat to chat, and from there he can immediately go to KongSwap to exchange his tokens that he received on OpenChat, and so on and so forth, move across the entire ecosystem. So right now, how internet identity is architected, it's very difficult for anyone to, go ahead and do that. So the open question was, is it possible for one user to, migrate onto different platforms, and one user can just acquire, one app can just acquire a particular user and then pay other, so the other apps can then pay this particular app for, the same user moving on to the different app. So, while we were exploring this, this really opened up our mind. Like, can we do it in a, in an easy way wherein we can pull in audience from the Web2 space through an app like TikTok, which is, Viral in this case, and then send this user to other apps and then garner some money, from other apps with, and in this way we can actually have a revenue, kind of model wherein, think of it like how ICP uses IC to buy cycles, and then, projects need to expend cycles to, uh, to run on the IC. It's exactly similar. So if you need some kind of user base, you can directly connect with, say, an app like Viral and pay them some amount and garner users, from them. So that was one idea that we were ideating around. And second thing is that we talked about scaling. I think in the last podcast, we talked about scaling. We were building this infra wherein we were present across, I think, 10, 15 different subnets, almost 20 general app subnets. And I think over the last few months, we are now over 500,000 canisters. I'll get back into, a bit of details around why we
Rishi,
are.
1 second. So there was a lot there. I wanna break it down a little bit. So I remember the last time we spoke, this was one thing that you guys were working on, this kind of AI, which would personalize the feed of everybody else. So that is fixed right now. Everybody receives. That is great news.
Recently, you would have seen a couple of other ecosystem members complaining and saying that there's only like 100 looping videos and it's like a static list, but that's not the case. So this is sort of the $AI vision. These are each individual dApps that we've built, and they all plug into the same set of underlying infrastructure and the same set of underlying backend. So same identity across all the apps, same wallet across all of the apps, data sharing between the apps, so on and so forth. And this is very difficult to do with something like an internet identity. Hence, we had to build our own homegrown solution for an identity solution that lets us do this, where you can have the same principle across all the apps. And this is a major challenge. So if you like go on the forums and search like how apps are tackling this. They still haven't come up with a very good solution of doing this. Hence, we had to build this from the ground up, but I'll get into specifically Yral.
I think that most of the people that watch us, they're not super technical. So like going into like super specific stuff, I don't think that is really time well spent.
In simple terms, if we are using a canister to create individual feeds for every individual visiting the platform, that's not going to scale at all, because a single canister is limited in terms of capacity to store data and in terms of capacity to process data. So you can only store so much individual user data in a single canister. So then we have multiple canisters that serve feeds that store data for individual users. But when you need to serve a feed needs to be aware of every user's individual preference and then also be able to look at other users who are similar to the current set of users and hence be able to serve them content. It also on a periodic basis needs to be updated to reflect the individual preferences of an ever-growing user base who also change their user preferences. Imagine today you're looking at car videos, you might like car videos, tomorrow you might like cat videos, so on and so forth. So that also needs to be incorporated. A single canister is simply not able to do so much responsibility. Previously, since our entire infrastructure just used canisters to some of these things, we ran into bottlenecks, but we sort of figured that out using AI. So this is an AI-enabled feed which uses individual user preferences to serve everybody unique content.
I'm going to repeat what you said in like super easy to understand terms. Just let me know if I understand it correctly. So when you say canisters, most people will not know if they're not inside the ICP ecosystem, they will not know what a canister is. So basically what you guys are saying is instead of having all the users in one big account, that will be a problem for the account because you can only fit so many things in there. Now every single user gets their own account, like you have it in Web2, but this was very difficult to build, to implement on ICP, but you guys made it.
So imagine my balance, the videos that I've uploaded, all of that content can be scoped to a individual account that I own. But the problem with a feed is a feed needs to have everybody's data inside. Otherwise it cannot tune itself constantly to reflect individual user preferences. So unless it has everybody's data in a single place, it cannot serve a constant feed of new content to everyone, right? So no matter who is uploading, maybe Alex uploaded today, Rishi uploaded tomorrow, I uploaded yesterday, all of our data needs to still live in a single place for it to be able to effectively serve updated content to every user who's visiting the platform.
So after we see the demo, a lot of people in crypto, they ask, why does it have to be on-chain? And I'm going to look for that answer from you. So what's the benefits to do it like this as opposed to Web2? But let's see the demo first.
Just the feed part I'll point out. So the feed is implemented off-chain because it's still not able to do an on-chain feed at the scale that we want to do, where we use AI to serve content. So what you see right now, the feed is actually coming from an off-chain agent, which is powered by AI. We'll show you the feed. So this feed that you see, we have a couple of new things that I'll quickly point out. So first thing is, notice there's a toggle over here. I'm not switching it on for the sake of this video, but essentially once we turn this on, so if you remember in the past, we had quite a few complaints where users would complain saying that it's not family friendly. Like they are not confident opening this app in front of their family. So what we did is we went in and implemented an AI system that now really understands any content that is uploaded to the platform, which means in an automated manner, no matter how many videos get uploaded to our platform without having zero human moderators, our system can ingest millions, if not billions of videos and use AI to automatically categorize if this is something family friendly or not.
So what exactly is in the NSFW? Is it like sexy stuff?
You want to try maybe?
Yes.
You will need to blur if it's something.
I'll cover the screen.
You can just maybe try and open it up.
Sure. You'll notice this is all like family safe content. There's like some running, there's some financial motivation, so on and so forth.
How many videos are there right now on the Yral? Because this is an important thing. You want to make sure people have enough content to view.
So right now we are sitting on approximately 200,000 plus pieces of content on our platform, 205,000 to be exact, as I checked this morning. So 205,000.2 million videos.
Okay, and how many creators are there? Like how many people are creating content?
So approximately we are sitting at around 20 to 30,000 monthly active users. If I just toggle on the NSFW, feel free to blur this part if you want to, but I'll just show you how that changes it. So once I agree to that, and if you're in a legal jurisdiction where you're allowed to view this content, so it will find content that it thinks is probably sketchy. And this algorithm isn't completely on point, but it will tend on the safe side. So essentially, if it thinks that there could be something problematic, it essentially gets pushed onto this side. And there is a very good reason for doing that as well. I'll come to that.
Is it just girls, like women, or is it also like, because also not safe for work is, maybe war videos and stuff like that, like dangerous stuff?
Exactly. So there's a couple of key things that we look at. So our criteria for something that is NSFW is primarily anything that might not be allowed on the app stores. Nudity, gore, anything along those lines, that all of that gets filtered here. So obviously, in our case, we try to be very pessimistic with the AI. So we've told the AI specifically, hey, if you even feel like this might be something problematic, it's okay to push it on this side. Even if ultimately maybe like a human moderator would have said, no, this looks fine to me. But the AI always tends to be on the safe side simply because we are trying not to have any problematic content on the other side at all. And the idea primarily behind this is, so we are also looking at getting listed on the app stores, the Play Store and the Android App Store, the Play Store and the Apple App Store. So for those purposes, we need a completely clean feed which only contains safe content. And for that to happen, in our case, we don't want to have like huge armies of moderators. So most big apps, most social apps have huge armies of moderators whose full-time job is to just look at content that has been flagged and to whether, and basically humanly moderate that on either the safe side or the not safe side. In our case, that is not a scalable solution. So this is how we sort of solve that problem. And subsequently, now we have basically feeds that can have raunchy content. And as a consumer, you also can choose to turn it on. But in case if you want, you can turn it off. And the backend sort of remembers your preferences in such cases. So only when you turn it on, will it give you these kind of content. But when you have it turned off, it will give you very safe content.
And what are the benefits of this not safe for work? Like, did you guys see an increase in like retention, people actually using the platform? So have you seen something positive?
To give you like a estimated idea, approximately 60% of all content uploaded to our platform is actually raunchy content. So it falls on this side of the wall, whereas 40% of all content uploaded to our platform is on the other side. And in terms of engagement numbers as well, we've noticed like these kind of content usually tend to perform better when the algorithm is experimenting by putting these pieces of content in your feed. So the algorithm is also optimized to sort of optimize for engagement times and watch times. So from that perspective, it tries a bunch of different videos and checks what your preferences of content is. Whether you're liking something, you're reporting something, you're skipping something, if you're watching the full video or not, it looks at those signals and essentially decides which type of content to push you.
There is one thing that just got to my mind. There would be people who would be interested to use only this not safe for work, part of the platform, which makes me think there would be models that would love to use your platform. You have a few of the videos for free, and then you go behind in the paid area where you can get more.
Hit the nail on the head, Alex. So essentially, this is where the second icon that you see over here comes in. So if you remember, we previously had this brand and this name called Hot or Not. So what we basically decided to do is Hot or Not is exclusively NSFW content. So if you're a user who only wants to look at raunchy content and content that is considered NSFW, you can visit this platform, and this exclusively only serves you this kind of content. There is no safe content on this platform essentially. And the idea is at some point, if there is enough demand for this kind of content, we can even gate this behind some sort of a paywall. So essentially, if you're looking to generate revenue, one aspect of this is users upload this content to our platform. So we have to spend all of the we process this content, categorize this content, store this content. So number one is it costs us server costs to do all of this work. So we have to figure out a way to monetize that. And the second thing is it's drastically more risky to host this kind of content on our infrastructure as opposed to any kind of safe content. So there is a cost associated to hosting that kind of content. Ideally, it makes sense to monetize the not safe for work content.
There is OnlyFans, which is like a multi-billion, dollar app. And it's just for this, and people go there for that. And I think, we don't really have something like in Web3 that is for this. And yeah, people enjoy this kind of thing. And yeah, I think they would actually pay for stuff if they have creators to actually do it and so on and so forth. What were you saying, Rishi?
Basically, it's up to the DAO to decide the direction on where the DAO wants to go on. So essentially we are helping the DAO create all these different aspects of the business. So one can be a family safe feed, one can be NFSW feed and different apps. But then over a period of time with more data in place, there can be motion proposals across the DAO, and the DAO can then decide the direction where everyone wants to head. So essentially how this entire dollar AI DAO works is that we are the biggest contributors, like how Definity is the biggest contributor to the IC DAO, ICP. Similarly,
NNS DAO.
to the NNS DAO. Similarly, we are the biggest contributor, but essentially each and every token holder on the DAO can decide which direction the DAO wants to visit. So at this point in time, we put in a lot of time and effort understanding where the business can come from as one of the biggest contributors. But essentially, we are just building all these different pieces in place and then letting the DAO decide where it wants to head to. So if it wants to head towards the more NFSW content direction, everyone is free to just put up a motion proposal and then subsequent proposals that this is the direction that the DAO wants to head towards, and everyone can just join in efforts to move towards that, and vice versa. If people feel that no, we want more games in the home feed of the family safe content, then that's the direction the DAO would head for. But essentially the DAO still needs to think about two things. So one is how will it monetize itself in the long term, say 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, what is the different revenue streams that the DAO can get? And secondly is like, how do we maintain the infra? So say if we are present across 500,000 different canisters across 20 different subnets, how will it sustain itself, sometime in the future, say 5 years, 7 years down the line? How will it pay for the infra cost? So these are two different things which all the DAO members, including us, because we are one of the biggest contributors to the DAO, so we also need to think.
In the beginning, you guys, went out to be like the Web3 competitor to TikTok. Now the big problem is TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube Shorts, they basically have unlimited money to, get new customers. Creators go there because they have all the traffic in the world. So you're basically fighting like those giant companies with unlimited cash. And although you guys raised, I don't know what it was like 1 million ICP. 1 million ICP at today's price is like $5 million. And you're fighting with companies. And when I say unlimited money, I'm saying like tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars per year, like in marketing and getting people there. So it's a big fight that you guys are fighting. So you should really take into consideration a way in which you can make this work. And this could be one of the ways that you can actually make it work. What's the benefits of actually having everything on the blockchain as opposed to having like a Web 2 alternative?
I think in the past, a bunch of times we've also have had to answer this question as to why do we have a single user, single canister model. So essentially, since we have 500,000 canisters, we are planning in advance that in case we have more users sign up, we want to have extra canisters so that the moment they come into the platform, we can give them a canister and have them go their way. However, and this is even, so Definity Research has also advised us that this is not a scalable way in terms of costs. Because just to give you some idea, I think since we went into operation, we've spent close to $1 million in cycle costs. Just fulfilling, like doing top-ups for all these canisters that we are running, right? So we've been consistently asked, hey, why do you need to put a single user's data in their own canister when you can just stuff multiple users in a single canister? And this is something even Definity has advised us. A lot of ecosystem observers and other people have also asked us like, hey, why don't you take multiple users data and put that in a single canister? That way you can do it with maybe 1/10 or 100th of the number of canisters that you currently have, right? That will also significantly bring down cost. However, this is also part of the $AI vision. So since the very beginning, we were very clear on the fact that we wanted to build this underlying platform where we can build any app that we can imagine. And for us to be able to do that, so instead of taking multiple users and then stuffing their data into a single canister, what we are doing is taking multiple apps for a single user and putting it inside their canister. And this was the vision that we had been going for from the very beginning. However, we had not explicitly come out and explain this because we were still in the phase of building this out. So now that we are starting to show this to people, even at Definity, a lot of people do agree with this approach at this stage.
I just want to give an example. So, Alex, tomorrow you want to become an entrepreneur and you would want to start a dating app, or you would want to start another DEX, or you would want to start, any other imaginable project. It will be fairly easy. So if we build out this infra place, now we have, say, all these 500,000 canisters across 20 different subnets. You as a developer now coming on and building on $AI, first of all, you do not need to build this infra. We'll expose APIs which you immediately can consume, and just build your logic on the front end and connect to this backend. And at the same time, say if we have 100,000 users on the app, active users, daily active users on the app, or 200,000 or 300,000, whatsoever, you can directly run advertisements on Yral. With just a single click, you can make these people go on to your app. Say if you came up with a dating app, you came up with a new DEX, your exposure to new users will be seamless. And your exposure to building this entire infra now, we spent almost 2.5 years just building this. We went through the SNS. We were one of the first projects to go through the SNS, say a couple of years back, 1.5, 2 years back. Since then, we have been building this infra, place over the last, say, 18, 20 months. And now coming in as a new project who wants to, build a scalable platform, it's again very difficult. You need to go through the entire process. You need to raise that much, which is 1 million IC, so that you can spend that much on developers, and then again go through, the pain of building this each and every part of this entire infra yourself, which is practically impossible. So in short, what we have done, looking at all the constraints that we had, the journey that we went through, everything that happened with us building on the IC over the last 2 years, all the marketing associated that, how hard it is to get users, how hard it is to do marketing. We have just combined all of that into a single platform, which is $AI, both for devs. You can come in, use this entire infra that we have already developed over the 2 years, and then use the marketing tactics that we, go ahead and do to garner users in the Web3 space. Because you can think of it like we are not explicitly saying that you need a wallet to connect to our app. You can just directly press, a Google login and directly come onto the app. So think of us like a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, because you can come in, watch videos, just press a button, and then you are in the Web 3 world without even knowing that you are using a Web 3 app. So as a user, you won't know what app you are using, but essentially you're just getting tokens while you are, just logging in to a Google login in a Web3 app, but in the Web2 way.
If you look at my screen, so currently I have opened Yral and I've just navigated to my wallet, right? So if you notice, it starts with DC23. So this is my principal. So if you notice this wallet, I have like $6,009 and some other meme coins that people have sent me. Now, if I close this out and go to another app, which is, let's say, Hot or Not, over here also, if I open the wallet, you'll notice that it has the same ID. And then as my coins are populating, it's the same set of assets that I'm sharing between these two apps, actually the 4 apps that you see in the background. So any other app that is also going to be built on top of us, it's going to have the same access to the same data in terms of the same wallet data, maybe preferences in terms of my content consumption, any other data that I want to share to that particular app. And we can sort of build this on top of standards. So we can essentially now build standards that let us do data sharing between apps in a privacy preserving manner.
So basically what I understand from this, you guys have built the infrastructure, which was difficult to build. It was not there. You actually had to spend, time and resources to actually build it. And now you've built this $AI, which is an ecosystem that if people want to start building inside this ecosystem, they're going to get the infrastructure that you guys have built.
Yes.
So the infrastructure is like open source, free for people to use if they build inside $AI.
That's the thing. So they just need to call into the APIs that we are exposing. Think of it like a managed service. You don't actually have to build by using our code. It's just APIs. You call into our APIs will return whatever your front end is calling into. So the expectation is you build your front end on whatever you want. You can build a mobile app, you can build a web app, whatever you're comfortable with, you just call into the APIs. You don't need a separate SDK, or you don't need any sort of separate code that you need to integrate into your app. It's just calling into APIs, which is mostly something Web2 developers are comfortable with. Imagine REST APIs is something very prevalent in the Web2 world.
It would be like I created an account on Facebook and now I have an account on Instagram and on Twitter and everywhere else if they were under the same umbrella, which is cool. In Web2, like the alternative is you log in with your Gmail account. I would say, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And was this not possible before you built it? So for example, I see you can actually log in with your internet identity to various platforms. What's the difference there?
So the difference primarily is with the principal sharing. So if you log into NNS with your internet identity, you get a separate principal. If you log into OSC with your internet identity, you get a different principal. So now these two apps, they do not know what assets you hold in each of the other one. So imagine whatever balances, let's say if you have an ICP balance in the NNS, OSC doesn't know that because it's a completely separate principal and vice versa. Here, since data sharing is enabled by default between trusted apps, essentially all of these assets can be called into by any of these apps.
That was always something weird. I always found it weird that you log in with your internet identity and you always get a new wallet, but I thought, you know what, if you log into a sketchy website, at the very least, it creates a new wallet and you can be drained. That's what I thought. So I thought it was a security measure. But like this, you can have the same principle inside all the ecosystem apps, which is cool. One of the main problems with social apps has been, and still is, even in Web2, is like user acquisition, getting creators on the platform, getting people to watch the platform, getting advertisers. So what are you guys doing, to grow this ecosystem?
Of course, it's a difficult problem to solve. It's not an easy journey for any Web3 platform because again, the Web3 space is still limited in nature. It does not have billions of users as other, Web2 apps have. And there's a traditional barrier to enter into the Web3 space because you either need a wallet or you need something specialized, which general people are not mostly aware of. But to, cater to this problem, we have been organizing quite a few different offline events. We have started off, doing offline events in India. I think until now we have done almost 10 to 12 different events in across different tier 1, tier 2 cities in India. That's the place where we both, me and Saikat, belong to. And we have our roots here in India, and hence we started. And of course, the population is also there. So it's the most populated, country in the world. We have almost 1.5 billion, people in just one, odd country. So yeah, so the strategy that we have implied is that start off in a country wherein the demand can be created, and that is what we are doing through doing offline events. So all in all, what we do is we invite almost 30 to 40 different content creators. Think of it like Instagram influencers, TikTok influencers, onto one event, which we do periodically in one particular city. So think of it like the last event that we had was in Mumbai. We did a Holi party. The numbers that I'm trying to convey is that we call in almost 40 to 50 content creators. These content creators have an average following of between 50 to 100,000 followers. So all in all, at one particular event, at least these 40-50 creators have a combined following of around 10 to 20 million people. So you can just imagine, the kind of scale that influencers in India operate at. And since we have already done around 10 to 12 different events, we have, theoretically, if all these content creators start posting about viral, we are expecting, the reach to go to tens of millions of people on the first day itself. But right now we are refraining from these content creators to push any information about app because most of these content creators or influencers are Web2 people. They do not know what a blockchain is, what a token is, and so on and so forth. And at this point in time, we are not educating them. We want to build a platform which is, which looks like a Web2 platform and which they can distribute to their following without getting into the learning curve of the Web3 space. So can we make it as simple as using Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and then distribute through these particular content creators? That's our goal.
I think that should be the goal because, for example, when you want to send an email, this is an example that I always give. I don't need to know how the email is actually being sent, Maybe I need to know like the insides of, adding the people that I want in the email and stuff like that. So teaching people about blockchain, I don't think that should be a priority, but they should just enjoy using the platform. And if they enjoy it and they share it with their friends, I think that should be ultimately the goal. Like the user interface should be friendly, and people should use it. This is what I'm saying. You know, I would love for more builders to actually build their projects, and you know, like it's been with Odin Fun. They don't even mention ICP. You know, it doesn't matter that it's built on ICP. It's just fast, and you can do on there what you can't do anywhere else. And I think that this should be your focus is. Actually, I'm happy to see that this is your focus and not on, you know, pushing the blockchain. Unfortunately, people don't really care about the specifics of that.
Very difficult for, you know, like it's an economy of attention span, you know, at this point in time. So now tens of different apps or hundreds of different apps, or maybe, you know, television or your mobile phone is asking for your attention. As a user, you would only give your attention to things which are very easy for you to understand and learn. It should be as intuitive as possible. So that's what we are, you know, inculcating in our building process. If it's not out there comparable to the actual apps that you're using, then it's not usable at this point of time. And that's a thesis. If it is as usable as say, something like an Instagram or TikTok is, then it will be fairly easy for us to start pushing the app and push all kind of marketing efforts. But until then, we would want to refrain and make the app as easy as, you know, the other traditional socials out there.
And speaking about apps, you know, going to the browser and, you know, having to save the browser, you know, it works. But, you know, people want to use apps like, you know, they use Instagram, it's an app. They use Facebook, it's an app. So are you guys working right now on developing an app? And, you know, when is it coming?
Maybe show a quick sneak peek. What do you think, Rishi?
I would love to do that.
Because this is going to simplify it. So even like right now, I'm not very responsive on OpenChat, for example, because it's not an app. And I didn't go through, you know, saving it as a browser on my phone screen, unfortunately.
I think it's on my phone and I'll need to connect to Zoom, and it'll be a pretty big, you know, it'll take a bit of time. So maybe we can do it in the next, you know, like whenever we had the next podcast, or maybe I can send it.
Yeah. So send me the video recording, and this is a note to myself. Use the video recording for Rishi and add it, you know, on screen.
Here's the law of attraction. Whatever you think.
Another thing that people love in Web3 is to actually be able to monetize their time. You know, this is why we've seen even in our ecosystem, Tagger was extremely successful for a few months because people made money on it. So how are people making money by using, you know, your projects?
I think the thesis has always been that the social. So if you see the average time also over the last 2-3 years of different socials, you know, I personally used to use Facebook around 5-7 years back for half an hour or 1 hour a day. Today, I'm not using Facebook at all. And similarly with other traditional, you know, social platforms also, people are using TikTok for 90 minutes. I think a couple of years back. Today, it's down to 70 minutes. Instagram is down from 40 minutes to 30 minutes. And overall, you know, across different socials, the attention time is decreasing. Now, one thing is that's just might be possible that people are getting bored of using the same thing again and again. And also, of course, there are different other things coming into the market which also needs your attention. ChatGPT came in, Grok came in, tens of different, you know, AI stuff came in. So, you know, everyone has this 24 hours in a particular day. Now, what apps will you give your attention to is the question. What we have noticed over a period of time is that I think gamification on socials will be the next big thing. So, you know, we had this game called Hot or Not, wherein you could stake some tokens on a particular video, say if the video is hot, so which means if it will go viral or not. And then subsequently, it was an hourly competition. So if you would vote with the majority, you would win, otherwise you would lose. So it was, you know, some kind of earning mechanism on the videos that you were watching while playing this game. But as a content creator, you would get a 5% flat commission of whatsoever you know, your users were betting on. So say if somebody bet you know, say 50 token or 100 tokens, automatically 5 tokens came to Alex because he put up the video on which the game was played. So this was how, you know, we were solving the monetization problems. But essentially there was, you know, a bit of a problem with the game. The game was rigged in the sense that people, you know, all the users figured out that if you put up hot content, everyone would vote hot. the uploaders of hot video would automatically, get commission 5% of all the tokens being bet, and then everybody would win because they would always vote hot. So over a period of time, if you would start voting after the 10th video, you would understand that there is no incentive for you to vote not, and as a user, you would always vote in one direction and always keep on winning, which led to hyperinflation on the platform, which also led to a lot of coin millionaires becoming a pretty big problem for us as a platform. And then people earned quite a lot because they were spending hours daily just basically earning these tokens while pressing hots on all the videos. So this is a problem that we have now almost solved. So I think in the next version of the app, you will see a new game, which is now you are fighting with the algorithm and not with other individuals. So essentially, there's a hotness score on each and every video, and then you have to predict basis certain parameters. So when the video was uploaded, how many likes the video got in how much time, what kind of comments are people putting in, so on and so forth. So you will do an analysis and then predict if the video is currently hot or not, basis what the algorithm is thinking. So if you agree with the algorithm, you win or you lose, some kind of staking mechanism. But essentially over a period of time, at currently you cannot buy into the tokens and play this game. You will need to earn these tokens through various mechanisms, say coming in daily, inviting your friends, uploading videos and so on and so forth, and then earn these tokens while you can play these games. So basically, it's not betting because you cannot buy in and play and cash out. You can only earn on the platform, play more games with that earning, and then cash out. So, as a DAO, our incentive structure is that you need to come in onto the platform and put in time and effort to make the platform more valuable and get monetization out of that. So that's again the thesis, and it will be primarily driven through different games. So that is one game. I just want to spend one more minute talking about another game, and then we can move on to the next topic. So the next game that we are planning is something called EmojiCon. So EmojiCon in the sense that while you're watching a particular video, there'll be 5 different emojis. Say one a funny video, funny emoji, a crying emoji, a rocket emoji, and so on and so forth. So you have to watch the entire video, press on the emotion that you feel the video is giving in, stake some tokens. If you're agreeing with the majority, you win or you lose. So essentially, while you watch each and every video, you play a game and then you monetize your time and attention because you are watching that particular video and then playing this particular game with your friends.
For the first game, I think maybe sort of a system like a prediction market would be. So for example, if 95 people said it's going to be hot, and I also bet that it's going to be hot, I'm only winning, if it's going to be 100% hot, I'm only winning like a 5%. And however, if I bet that it's not going to be hot, and it turns out it's not going to be, I'm going to 20x my money, so, or whatever the math is. So maybe a prediction model would actually work. Let's go into what are you guys planning to do for the future? So what are some cool updates that we can look out for? Maybe some centralized exchange listings, or what can people look out for?
Of course, these couple of games are around the corner for the launch. I think we are hoping that maximum retention generally comes from these games. Every time we have seen a spike on the app and the retention going through the roof, it has been just because of the games that we have had on the platform. So these 2 games are our primary way of retention mechanisms, which should come in the next couple of months. So that's one. Second thing is we are betting quite a lot of time and energy and effort on the mobile apps because general Web2 users are still very comfortable using mobile app as compared to a PWA or a web app, and any social platform out there which has made a big I think over across the globe are generally mobile apps first and then subsequently web apps. So the mobile apps are also around the corner. So we are very excited for the launch of those. Thirdly, of course, sex listing is something that we have planned, but it's very difficult to do it during a pseudo bear run. Unless the time is, because you only get one chance to list. So if the timing is wrong, then everything falls down and it's very difficult to recover from there. So we are just hoping that if the timing is right, we launch all the different parts that we are working on. We want to time it wherein the market is also a bit bullish, and also at the same time our user retention goes through the roof. So it's not more about the numbers, more about user retention, that while a particular, say if Alex is coming onto the app, he spends some time daily coming onto the app and gets some kind of value out of it. So once that is done and the market is right, I think we are ready for the listing, but it's still a few months away. Would not want to make any promises, because we never know how the macroeconomic environment generally works. And yeah, almost these two things. And then we have also started creator podcasts in India. We are doing podcasts with content creators who have almost an average following of 400 500,000 followers. So yeah, very excited with respect to the distribution of all the things that we are building sometime in the future, and being able to garner the Web2 audience. It has always been the goal. I think this is our third or fourth podcast together, Alex. And every time we come in, we talk about how do we get a generic user onto the platform and not a Web3 user. So anyone who is looking at us and they think that we are doing things differently, yes, we are doing things differently. We are not following what other Web3 apps generally do. We do not have a wallet integration. We are not integrating with things which general people are not aware of. We are doing things differently, looking at what Web2 apps are doing and trying to follow pattern, that if the Web2 app has this kind of login mechanism, we need to have exactly the same login mechanism. If Web2 app has a say in a couple of seconds all the content loads, then we also need to have that. If Web2 app has a mobile app, we need to have that mobile app, and so on and so on. So we are not comparing ourselves with the Web3 space at all. We are just doing things so that we can become a bridge between the Web2 audience and the Web3 world.
You need to be careful when you launch the token, because I've been following new launches like listings on Binance and whatnot. Everything has been going down. So there's like layer ones or whatever companies, everything has dropped. 95% drops from being listed on Binance, basically killing the token. And one more thing, you mentioned that this is a third time you guys are here, and I honestly I appreciate that. You are the only team inside the IC who has been around 3 years ago, is still here, and you guys are willing to come to the show, to show people that you are real, you've been building, and to answer their questions or things that they don't like. You come here to actually clear the air, which actually brings me to the recent incident that you guys have been caught in. I've seen there is some like a little bit of drama on like the Dfinity forum. People said your names. I didn't really look that deep into it, so I wanted to briefly explain it to somebody who doesn't even know what the Dfinity forum is and what the problem is people have with you, and what's your side of the story.
There were a few problems. So essentially we have been, we showcased all the things that we are building over the last 7-8 odd months. And each and every podcast that we come to, we tell you that it is not an easy journey. We have been going through all the pains of building a Web2 like app in the Web3 space, and especially in cutting edge technology. So IC is also just 3 years or 4 years old now. The genesis happened, I think, in 2022. We're studying in 2025. It's been just 3 years. They are also, not, I would say there's not a lot of support with respect to everything out there that, say, a traditional social app would want to build, say, on an on-chain cloud. So right now, even I don't think even IC is equipped. They are building pretty fast. And I think in the near future, there'll be everything that we want to build on the IC as a decentralized social app. But essentially, we are also young, they are also young, and we are building hand in hand. So it has not been easy. And when the journey is hard, we put our head down, we start, we keep on building. And while we are building, sometimes we miss out on communicating things that have been under the wraps. So say, we showcase the $AI platform. It has not been built from scratch just today itself or yesterday. It took us almost 1 year to showcase all these things. Having a common wallet across different apps, having common AI play across different apps, having a common infra layer across all different apps, it has again taken a lot of time. So while all these things were happening, we were keeping our heads down building, not communicating a lot around what's happening on Viral and what's happening and what our future vision is, because we wanted that while we complete this vision, we'll come out to the world and showcase that this is what we have done over the last 6, 7, 8 odd months. So a couple of things happened around the same time. A few community members mentioned that they are looking at the Viral platform and there is nothing happening on Viral. So essentially, they could not find new videos on the platform. That was one of the complaints. And the second complaint was there are not a lot of users, which are not exactly true. We have almost 205,000 videos, which I think we showcased also in one of the videos that we did. Me and Saikat did a couple of weeks back. So we showcased our entire video library base on there. And looping videos, of course, if you're not logging in, if you are not interacting a lot with the platform, it will not recognize your user preference. So if you are a regular user of the app, you come in daily, you are engaging with different videos, you're watching one video or the other for a certain amount of time, liking, commenting and so on and so forth, then only it would catch your user preference and then only it will show you, different videos for yourself. So these two were, the primary complaints that were there out on the forum, which we addressed to in the videos that we initiated. The second complaint was that we also made a bit of investment across 2, 3 different ecosystem projects. One was Estate DAO, one was Fuel DAO. And that was primarily because we wanted to incubate a few more projects in the $AI ecosystem. Like we showcased you 4 different apps. We wanted to incubate, outside projects also, who we are supporting by investing and, technically helping them to build from scratch. But essentially, they would become a part of the $AI ecosystem in the near future. So, so some, of course, like since we were putting our heads down and doing all these things, communication was a bit of an issue from our side. And that was all the uproar all about. And then we, I think, wrote a message to the entire community. We mentioned that, the way we handled the situation was not right and we could have done better. We have set up guidelines around our investments now, and we'll soon put up a document around how our treasury management will happen, because essentially we are a DAO and the DAO needs to be aware of how entire process is going around. It's not, although we are the biggest contributors, but anyone, so Alex can also contribute to the $DAO now, put up code or put up any kind of proposal. So you can do some kind of marketing for $DAO and in turn get some kind of monetary rewards in the form of IC or dollar tokens from the DAO.
We have actually seen in the past SNS projects fund other SNS projects, and there has not been an uproar. Like we've seen Water Neuron, I remember, was making proposals for other SNSs to invest, and they did invest, and that was a problem. So why was it a problem in your case?
So investing in other ecosystem projects is not a problem. So if you're directly transferring the DAO treasury, so essentially say you put up a DAO proposal and then transfer the money from one, transfer IC or your own token to another project, everyone in the DAO is aware of that. We were doing it from our private entity, for profit Swiss private entity. And and that was a part of our treasury management because we wanted to initiate some DAOs who we can work closely with as a part of broader $AI ecosystem. But, so think of it like investments from Definity are not public, investments from the Definity's DAO, which is the NNS, are public. But if Definity chooses to invest in different organizations, that information is not public. So it's like, the private entity, which was the largest contributor to the DAO, they chose to, it chose to make the investments. Of course, everything, it keeps on happening across the entire ecosystem. But I think we could have done better by communicating a bit more around our investment strategy. And that's, what we are doing right now.
So it was basically not the DAO contributing to the SNSs. It was like your private entity, you as the contributors to Yral were incubating those projects.
So essentially, the largest contributor to the DAO was making these investments for the betterment of the DAO in the future.
Okay.
And it could have directly be done from the DAO as well. But, again, there were a few things that we also took into consideration. And primarily that was that right now, $AI was not established as a brand. So doing any kind of investments from, say, the Yral application to any other project did not make a lot of sense because we had not until come out with the larger vision. And yeah, and like, of course, so think of it like, if it's private investment, you can use it to buy Bitcoin or buy Ethereum, or buy, invest into any other ecosystem project. But as developers in the IC ecosystem, we want to double down in the IC space and not do anything else as a, even as a part of part of private entity. So quite a few things and quite a few decisions, but I think since the communication was not right, we helped. So basically, we asked the founder of Fuel in order, so that if he can roll back the entire SNS, which he agreed to. So essentially, Fuel EV is now getting rolled back, and Estate has been putting up its their own updates on Twitter and all other social channels. So we are hoping that everything is progressing as in how it should have. And of course, we are also new to being the contributors to a DAO. So we also, as founders, although we have spent last 2-3 years, but the DAOs are also an ever evolving space, right? It's not like the traditional companies out there, the limited companies or the public limited companies, wherein all the things are mentioned explicitly, in the laws. We have to understand what and how do we have strategies which can lead to sustenance of the DAO in the longer term. So essentially, all the decisions that we take today as the largest contributors are for the is primarily for the well-being of the entire DAO and for its longevity. Say 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, will the dollar DAO still exist? Will it have all the right revenue channels? Will it have all the right partners? Will it have the right contributors? Will it do the right marketing and so on and so forth? So it's all on the long-term basis, and nothing is done to take advantage in the short term.
So I think it's a communication problem, maybe, and I see this across the entire echo. People should communicate better and more often. And I can understand why people were upset by what you guys did. Did they, is the problem solved now? Like, are people happy, pleased?
Most of our users we are acquiring from outside the IC ecosystem, because we are targeting the Web2 space. So not many people, especially our user base, would be aware of what's happening across the Definity ecosystem. So essentially IC ecosystem and the Definity forums. So not a lot of pushback or feedback from our users, I would say. But also at the same time, a lot of people on the Definity forums are also the DAO investors, and hopefully they understand that the development that is going on in the DAO is the primary aspect of the entire DAO and nothing else. So even if there is news around that this was wrong or that was wrong, anyone, the code is public and open source. Anyone can go ahead and check each and every commit that was made over the last 3 odd years. Everyone can go ahead and see what developments have happened while we have been building on the IC, and there is nothing hidden. It's all public. It's all on the blockchain, and calling people a scam or calling people any other word is very simple on the internet today. You go ahead, create a fake profile anywhere on the internet and start calling other people a scam, or that these people are not right and everything they are doing is wrong. But just building one project, and I'm sure doing the content that you do, this is the hard part, right? So if you're building a project yourself, if you are doing all this content yourself, and you're trying to make it big, not just for yourself but for a lot of people around, it's not easy. And then you have to live with all these things. So being the largest contributors to the DAO, we are also public entities, so we are bound to receive all the good and the bad happening around the DAO and everywhere. So what we can hope for is that we do the best for everyone, and we continue building, keeping our heads down, not listening to a lot of negative things which people are saying, and let them only show whatever we are doing through our work and nothing else. So say if tomorrow tens or hundreds of thousands of users are coming in every day into the viral ecosystem and subsequently the IC ecosystem, like everyone would be
Everybody's gonna be happy. No, listen. It's been a hard time for the ICP ecosystem. You know, we don't really see stuff pumping, and it's not even just on ICP. Like the entire crypto market has had it very rough. So you know, people are angry and understandably angry, and they're looking for everything that they can, you know, nitpick. But I would recommend, you know, make sure you guys are communicating as clearly as possible. Coming on the podcast is one way of communicating. And yeah, I appreciate you guys coming here. Looking forward to see what you guys will build in the future and to have you guys back on the show. And yeah, I think if you guys want to add anything else in the closing, now is the time.
Yeah, so feel free to check out yral.com, YRAL.com, and please give us feedback. We have our Twitter profiles open. You can directly DM us and help us making the overall vision for the entire DAO better. So if you would want to become a contributor, you would want to come into the marketing, operation, technology space in the DAO, you can put up forum posts, or you can put up motion proposals, or you can directly DM us. Would be happy to work with anyone and everyone, not just in the IC ecosystem, but everyone around. And we are hoping to make this a big success, not just for me, you, or Alex sitting over there, but for everyone who is hearing this, and everyone who would want to become a part of this larger vision.
So this was the podcast with Yral. We've seen what they have been working on and what they want to build in the future. And I'm hoping to see the day when hundreds of thousands and millions of users will come to the Internet Computer Protocol, and who knows, they may actually come through Yral and the ecosystem that they're building. So thank you very much if you made it this far into the video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe, share it with a friend, and I'll see you in the next video.